What's up, patients, and welcome back to another episode of the Doc Docs. I'm your host, Doc Hawk, back at it again. This week, virtual reality. Now, people often think of this as a recent phenomenon, but actually, one of the first traces of virtual reality came from Stanley G. Weinbaum's short story Pygmalion Spectacles all the way back in 1935, where main character Dan Burke meets a strange man in New York's Central Park. The man tells Dan about how hard it can be to differentiate between dreams and real life, then invites Dan to test out a new invention to prove his point, that being virtual reality goggles, giving the user an experience of sight, sound, smell, taste, and touch. Fast forward to 1968. When computer scientist Ivan Sutherland created what is widely considered the first virtual reality head-mounted display system called the Sword of Damocles. But it was primitive, both in terms of user interface and realism. The device was so heavy, it had to be suspended from the ceiling. Then, in 1985, the first affordable VR device was born. And you may have heard of it, the widely successful Power Glove. Well, actually, it was kind of a bust, with its imprecise controls and lack of games. Only was it really taken seriously by the cyberpunk community, who viewed the technology as a potential means for social change, saying it was not merely an art form, but a whole new frontier. More recently, in 2011, the young American inventor Palmer Luckey designed the first prototype of the Oculus Rift in his parents' garage. Though the picture was only 2D, it had a 90-degree field of vision, previously unseen anywhere in the market. And in 2014, Facebook purchased Oculus for $2 billion. Now that better technology is allowing VR to be more accessible, developers can create experiences like never before. And its variety of uses can cater to a wide range of people. Kevin Mack is a pioneer in the VR space with ShapeSpace VR and was inspired by nature, technology, and transcendent visions to create a truly unique playground.
I'm Kevin Mack. I'm a virtual reality artist. I started out doing traditional art, and my folks were artists. My parents worked at Disney, and my mother was the original model for Tinkerbell. But I'd gotten into computers in the 80s for experimenting for my fine art. And I saw the potential, much like I do now for virtual reality, and I helped pioneer the use of computer graphics for visual effects. I was very fortunate. I got to work on lots of cool movies, and I won an Oscar for What Dreams May Come. Now that virtual reality technology is here, I'm diving in and making virtual reality art.
Can you tell us a little bit about ShapeSpace? How did it come about?
It's interesting because ShapeSpace is very much about, in a sense, altering consciousness or providing a means to have a transcendent experience. I've made lots of different kinds of art, and art is an incredibly diverse and powerful thing. You can make art to enhance consciousness or to make social commentary. You can shock people, you can entertain people, you can do all kinds of things with art. And it occurred to me that if I could just provide people with even a moment of complete freedom from the human condition, that would be a pretty cool thing.
With ShapeSpace in particular, it's very unique. It's not an experience that people would generally think of when they think of VR. So what is that uniqueness that makes it so interesting?
Right. Well, the fundamental innovation of virtual reality is spatial presence. And that's a much bigger deal than people realize. Spatial presence is completely new to us. It's an entirely new communication medium. And it's for the first time in human history, we can directly communicate the first person experience of, this is what happened, this is what it was like. I think that makes it uniquely well suited for art, because art is experiential. And so I think that art may be the ultimate means of utilizing virtual reality technology.
Just position it so you're looking square through the lenses. It's a very small sweet spot on the lenses.
Yeah, this right there.
That's good?
Yeah.
Okay, so here's some headphones. And then just look at get those comfortable. And look at where it says Zen Parade.
All right?
You ready? Did it start?
Yep.
Have fun.
Were there challenges that you may have not foreseen?
One of the challenges was I needed a 360-degree lens shader. So I needed to be able to render in 360 degrees and in stereo. I really wanted it to be 3D. So that's a challenging geometric problem that people have been working on since, you know, the dawn of, you know, mapping. You know, it's the whole thing of mapping the Earth. How do you unwrap the Earth into a map? It's in a sense an intractable problem. But I came up with a solution, and my son helped me, and he wrote this amazing lens shader that's stereo, and it works in 360 degrees. No matter where you look, it's stereo. And so by reducing the discontinuities to singularities, it made it work very well.
Dude, it's like right here. I can't see my hands, but it's like... Like the perception of this makes me feel like I can actually grab it, but you just don't see my hands.
Is there an ultimate thing that you're working towards?
I want to be able to share my visions with people. And I think that if people could see what I see, it would improve their lives. And so it's really about providing a visionary, transcendent experience of beauty and wonder to anybody that wants it. We call it bliss on demand for a reason. It's like if people could take a break from their busy, stressful lives and for 5 minutes do shape space and come out of that feeling renewed and rejuvenated and relaxed and carry on with their lives, that's going to be a good thing for the world.
It's so mesmerizing and calm. Of course, with the music, it really makes it much more fun. Oh my God.
I think it works very well as an adjunct to meditation and to, you know, yoga and breathing exercises. There are a lot of different technologies embedded in shape space. For instance, we're using brainwave entrainment and sound healing and, you know, a number of sort of ancient mystical processes as well as modern science, you know, perceptual mechanisms. We're trying to employ a lot of those things in an artistic fashion to create a very full experience that's relaxing and invigorating and in general stress relieving and enhancing of well-being.
I could see how people could like use that and want to meditate with it, and more with the music that you have on it.
Yeah,
Oh my
the
God,
music.
man.
Our
Like,
son
yeah.
composed the music. And
Oh, really?
Yeah, and it's all, he has thrown in every form of, you know, brainwave entrainment and sound healing and frequency modulation of chakra centers, and it's a really weird thing. It's that particular piece is called Third Eye Infinite, and it's designed to harmonize the heart and the third eye chakra.
What's like the most interesting reaction you've ever had? Like,
Um,
if you can
The
recall.
most interesting reaction, I know my favorite. My favorite is when people, we get a certain number of people take off the headset, tears coming down their face, total strangers, and they just hug me and thank me. And that's just, as an artist, like that, there's no more gratifying experience.
I read the About section on the Shapespace VR website, and there was this term, sort of the P, I don't know.
Oh, pareidolia.
Yeah, where you see, like,
Yes.
on the moon or see something
Yeah.
that's not supposed to convey a certain thing, but everyone looks at it a different way.
Yeah.
Can you speak on that a little bit?
Yeah, pareidolia is a term that refers to the phenomenon when we are able to see things that aren't there. So for instance, when people see animals and faces in clouds and in wood grain, the Rorschach print is the quintessential example of pareidolia. They used to make these ink blots, and they're random ink blots, and psychologists would show them to people and go, "What do you see?" And, you know, people would suddenly go, well, that's my wife and she's trying to embezzle from me, or, you know, like people would just suddenly project all of their own, you know, imagination onto it. And so Shapespace uses pareidolia to invoke the imagination of the viewer.
I see a panda. He's the frowning panda. Oh my God, I feel like Superman.
All right, so how do you feel about people, you know, using VR Shapespace in like extreme states, maybe like severely depressed or under the influence of some sort?
I think the thing we're finding about Shapespace is that it's very much like other things that alter your consciousness, whether that be meditation or psychedelic drugs. It alters your consciousness, but it uses your own consciousness. So they always said about the psychedelics, it's all about set and setting. What's your set? Who are you? What's your personality? Do you tend to be a certain way? And then setting, where are you? What's your situation? Were you just having a bunch of trouble, or are you in a good mood, or are you in a bad mood? With psychedelics, you'd have some people would have tremendous life-changing experiences that made them much more positive, happier people throughout their lives. But you also had people who freaked out and had really bad trips and couldn't, you know, make it stop and wanted to. And so what we're finding with Shapespace that's really great is that it seems to provide a lot of the benefits of a positive experience that opens people's eyes to the nature of being and consciousness. And yet, at the same time, it doesn't seem to have any of the negative downsides. There's no bad trips in Shapespace, you know? Because if anybody that doesn't like it would just take it off. They'd just take it off, like, I don't like this.
Now I actually don't want to play any horror games on that. I can see why people take it off immediately when they see something scary.
How do you think the future will pan out in terms of VR technology?
I'm on the positive side. I have a very positive view about the future of virtual reality. I think it offers enormous potential and may well be one of the central keystones to the salvation of humanity. Virtual reality is one of the sort of pillars of, you know, the technology revolution that will bring about the singularity. We have to move into a digital medium. We don't have enough resources on this planet to sustain a growing population for much longer. So big portions of that population are going to have to move into a virtual existence. Now, you know, we're a long ways from that. We can't scan people and make virtual copies of them yet, and we need to be able to do that in order for that to succeed. And it's interesting because it parallels a lot of, you know, religious and spiritual prophecies and stories. The whole notion of heaven is sort of presented as this, like, oh, you can do whatever you want, and, you know, you never die, and you're free to do whatever, and everybody loves each other. It's kind of like we're building heaven. And it's, you know, heaven comes at the end of the world. Well, okay, so maybe it's the end of the world because, you know, the resources are being used up, and maybe it's not for 1,000 years, who knows? But it's been talked about in the literature for many decades, and predicted even by NASA, predicted in the 70s, that we will evolve into technology. I'm Kevin Mack, the creator of Shapespace, and you're watching the Doc Docs.
We hope you know at least a little bit more about the new frontier that is VR than you did before this video. If you're new here and you like what you see, please subscribe and you can get notified about future episodes like this one. Your social currency really means the world to us, virtual or otherwise. If you're intrigued by Shapespace, visit their site and social channels to see when they'll be showing their projects going forward. They are truly helping to take VR out of that niche little bubble. The cyberpunks would be proud. Thanks for watching. Doc Hawk, signing out.
The documentary doctor movement, information, entertainment for improvement. The documentary doctor movement, information, entertainment for improvement. Bite-sized for your eyes. Bite-sized.